Troglodyte warning. Today I want to talk about the right's response to the terrorist attack in Madgeburg, Germany. Last Friday, a insane far-right terrorist plowed his car into a group of attendees at a Christmas market. 200 people seriously injured, 40 in critical condition, and 5 people killed, including a young 9-year-old boy. So what's been the response on the right? Well, the AfD had a march, a demonstration last night. Clearly, they have empathy and sympathy and want to know how the families are feeling, how the victims feeling about this. They're not using it for the cynical or political gains at all. Obviously, they are. So, we know a lot about this guy. Luckily, or not so luckily, he was quite prevalent on Twitter with over 40,000 followers. He's literally done tens of thousands of tweets. Interestingly enough, Elon Musk took down his profile and then put it back up, censoring, i.e., deleting a lot of his previous tweets. So, this begs the question, what is Elon Musk hiding? We already know this guy's a supporter of the far right. He said Geert Wilders in the Netherlands is a hero. He's tweeted support for the AfD, the far right party, which ironically, he could help into power in 2 months in February when the elections come. And this is pure speculation. I don't know. But I think this guy maybe knew what he was doing and knew that the AfD would jump on this, and him being a supporter of the AfD, him being a ex-Muslim from Saudi Arabia, he was the perfect person to do it because he gets to martyr himself for the cause. People will see that he's clearly far right. And the world we live in now, that doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, isn't it? It's irrelevant, his political beliefs. He's a brown man who did drive into Christmas market, therefore he's a terrorist. No reflection on, okay, well, this isn't inherently an Islam thing. Like, if you want to strike terror in the hearts of the population, when would you do it? Were you going to do it at Christmas? When do people gather and have jovial times? Well, at night at Christmas market, people are drinking, they're having hot chocolates, they're celebrating the season with their families. That's when you do it. Terrorists know exactly what they're doing. Terrorism, by definition, is a political act of violence to evoke terror in a population. And for these people, those two things are enough for him, even though they ignore the fact he's an atheist now. He did a BBC interview where he said he was an atheist. But that's irrelevant. That data is irrelevant because we live in a post-truth era now where facts don't matter. It's all about feelings. They feel like, oh, because the mainstream media say that he supports the far right. Actually, that's not true. They're lying to us. And then you go, well, what evidence do you have of that? And they go, well, no, I haven't got evidence, but I don't need evidence because that's what the mainstream media would want from me. And I'm not playing their games. No, you do not have a point. You do not have an argument. You do not have a claim without evidence. In a court of law, you can't just say stuff like, "Oh, well, I feel like I'm being lied to," or "I feel like it's a conspiracy." Obviously, by definition, conspiracies come from a lack of evidence. That's why I don't want to be mean, but the type of people who believe in conspiracy theories aren't the most educated people, and that's not an essentialist thing. I just think certain people are vulnerable to this. And again, I condemn the con artists, not the people who are conned, because there's a systemic misinformation campaign, and there has been over the last 20 years. Twitter is a perfect model for that. Since Elon Musk bought it, it's full of bots, Russian bots, far-right accounts, neo-Nazis who Elon Musk supports, and that's what he wants. He's politically aligned to that. He's encouraging. I mean, he's aligned with this terrorist. Interesting that he's censored this guy's profile. And how do you deal with this? I think that's the key question. How do you deal with people who cry misinformation without evidence? They ignore obvious facts and they say, we're being gaslit. They don't even know what gaslighting means. Gaslighting is a very specific word that means a psychological manipulation or a form of torture or abuse where your torturer will make you feel things that or distort reality so that actually what you're perceiving or feeling is not true. But we're not talking about someone's feelings here. We're talking about facts. We can evidence this. Like, we're not talking about manipulating the facts. We're talking about we can look at the evidence here. This is the evidence. Look at it, double check it, see what this guy represents, listen to what he's saying about himself, his beliefs, his journey, and then we can get a sense of the motivation. That's all we have is to look at the evidence. I'm sorry, that's all we have. Evidence. Once you start ignoring facts, evidence, the truth, where are we as a society? I genuinely, it is terrifying because how do you have a serious conversation? Because I want to bring people over. I want people to not get caught up in the lies. I want people to know the truth and try and make the world better. But if you're not on the same level of reality, where someone who tweets tens of thousands of times anti-Islam, far-right talking points, and then he does a terrorist attack, and people just ignore all that data about his beliefs, and just go, well, no, that's just weird. That doesn't make sense. That's not how things work. A lot of things don't make sense, but you got to look at the evidence. I mean, life doesn't make sense. But you don't go then, well, I feel this, therefore it's true. But that's what the writers do. They are selective with their evidence and they just see a conspiracy theory because the mainstream media says one thing, therefore it's not true because it's the mainstream media. They're lying. Why are they lying? I don't know. Why would you lie about this? There's no reason to this. Because really, if it was an Islamic terrorist attempt, this would benefit the mainstream media. It will get clicks, it will sell papers, you'd get views. But now it's like, well, far right, it's like, it's not sexy. It's like, if they wanted to get more clicks, they would be like, yeah, let's make it, it's far right, yeah, who cares? No, they are looking at the evidence and going, who did this? Well, let's look at the evidence and present it. Not always in the most impartial way, but there's no reason to lie about this. We've had plenty of Islamic terrorist attacks in the last 20 years. Were people saying they were far right then? No. They were saying, yeah, this guy has links to Al Qaeda or ISIS or whatever far right terrorist, Islamic terrorist. Because again, the irony is Islamic terrorists are far right as well. They have a far right ideology. So even if he was an Islamic terrorist, by definition, he would be far right. So whichever way, this guy is a far right terrorist. So comment below, how do you counter this brain rot? Obviously, you got to call out the lies, set out the facts, but I think we need to do more. And I wish I knew the answer to that, but I don't think there are easy answers because you're up against the richest man on the planet who is selling misinformation, and they say mainstream media is lying to you. We know it's all projection. We know it's Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Nigel Farage. We know they are the ones that lying. They are lying to us. But how do you get through to people when they won't even look at facts? They can't even look at the evidence and go, okay, yeah, this guy's far right. How do you deal with that? I really don't know. So on that depressing note, have a nice Christmas, celebrate it, have a fun time with your friends and family. Don't drink too much, don't eat too much, but have a fun time anyway. And I'll see you very soon.